Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming by and spending time with us today. At this book launch, I have the pleasure of announcing the arrival of Singapore's latest writer. Russ Soh. Others again like Russ, who have managed to pull together those experiences into stories. Some may be fictional, I don't know when he's telling the truth and when he's not sometimes. But nearly every story has a real life experience that powers it. I will not spoil the book by telling you any more about it, but instead what I will do is that I will let him read some or let him say something about why he wrote this book and introduce his book to you and read from it perhaps, after which you can then interrogate him. Russ, thank you. Over to you.
Thanks, Wofang, for that introduction. Every word that he says in is true, except one. And he says, and there are the Russ Sohs. That's wrong. There's only one Russ Soh. Thank you for coming here to help me celebrate the launch of this book. Not the same family. It's a rather odd title. Not the same family. Invites various questions like, why not? Or why? Or what does it mean? What does not the same family means? I'm going to read the preface to you, right? So from page 6, preface. The title of this collection of stories is inspired by a quip from one of the characters from a popular American cartoon series, which features a group of kids and a dog. And one particular strip, this perpetually grouchy girl, again I think you probably know the name, she was seen browbeating her feckless kid brother by dismissing him with the line, brothers and sisters should not be in the same family. I'll repeat that. Brothers and sisters should not be in the same family. That statement to me underscores a human dilemma that has entrapped families since time immemorial. For no matter how much one may wish not to be part of the family one is in, there's absolutely nothing that anyone can do about it. It's like that other advice to make a better choice of your parents. Now one can no more choose one's parents than one can choose one's siblings. They are who they are and whom one has been given. All one can do is to live in the best way possible with what one has. Because of them, or in spite of them. In not the same family, you will come across different individuals from different families, each trying to find his or her way forward. Maybe you recognize one or more families. Perhaps you might even catch a glimpse of yourself and your own family in one or more of these stories. Or in truth, while they might be not the same family, they could collectively be representative of the one big family, the universal family. So, the title of the story is My Late Father, and to help me read this is my friend and my churchmate, Maggie. Maggie, you're here?
I had always thought of him as dead. The father I don't recall having seen. The father I never knew. The father I never had. He wasn't around when I was growing up. He had never brought me to school or back. He wasn't there to keep an eye on the boys when I started dating. And he sure as hell wasn't at my wedding to give me away. Of course he wasn't. He couldn't. How could he? He was dead. Had been for a long time. Our mom became our late mom when I was only 10. Our dad had preceded her 5 years earlier. Mom died of cancer. That was what the hospital told Uncle and Grandma, our only relatives, and by default, our guardians. I think she actually died of a broken heart. I think the hospital didn't have broken heart listed as an official cause in their book. It was easier to call it cancer. Or maybe Uncle and Grandma thought it easier to explain it that way. Death by cancer. In later years, it would slowly dawn on me that the real cause was probably death by husband. Her husband, my father. He killed her by breaking her heart.
Okay, this is from make sure he doesn't try again. Somewhere not quite in the middle of the story, the first step of the story. Even now, I'm not certain what the normal reaction should be for a person just informed of his father's foiled endeavour to mount and to fall over the bulwark of a high-rise building. But I remember that my mind went blank for a split second or two. And then you find out for yourself what happened. And now, I want to invite another friend. I call her a friend, I don't know if she regards me as a friend, as a friend. She's also my publisher, and the publisher's wife, so I have to be careful what I say. And she's also one of my editors. Why can you help us with this?
She says she feels trapped. I was telling Boon about the conversation I had with our daughter in the car the night before, on the way home from running some errands. What? He sat up from his armchair in the library. What do you mean, trapped? That's the word she used. But what did she mean by that? He had stood up now. How's she trapped? Who trapped her? Did she want to marry him? She said she wished she could call the whole thing off. The wedding? His voice was rising, but was contained within the library by the closed doors. Isn't it a bit late for that? No, not that, my dear. I know I shouldn't, but I couldn't help letting out a chuckle. Nudging him to sit down, I told him, she means the dinner reception. I just want to say, as a so-called editor, publisher, I've read quite a few manuscripts, and very often, like what Ho Fang said, it can be very painful, to read some of them. I really enjoyed Russ's stories. He has a voice that resonated with me. May not resonate with everyone, but it did with me. And so he got published. Congrats, Russ.
So probably just to start off, an easy one for you. So why did you decide to write this book? Or maybe you already shared it before I came in just now. What inspired you?
Writing has always been with me. So when I quit corporate life, one of the things I knew I wanted to do was to write. Write what? I don't know. I just wanted to write. Okay? Anything. And so it took me a while to find my subject, so to speak. But I did know that I have all these stories in me that are waiting to come out. And waiting to be articulated. And some of these stories I have been with me for a long, long time. Some since I was a kid, some since I was a young man, some since I become an old man. So there were these stories. And these stories were waiting to come out. So that's the inspiration. Okay, I have a story about you saving the right.
My name is Chikit. I've been classmate of Russ for many, many years. When I came in and I heard him read the various story, I really was, something happened to my heart, because how many people can remember a friend's essay when he was in Sec 3? I could remember Russ' essay. You can't remember, because I think in some sense our family background is very similar. And I remember that you have always been the guy who write beautifully, and your essay is the model that passes around the class. So I remember reading in Sec 3 an essay about basically the family background. And when I came in and I heard, I felt that link. Not to say that the family stories are same, but I felt a certain kind of linkage, which whether it is there or not, it does not matter, but for me, it's wonderfully touching. For me, it is like almost like closing the circle. Now I want to ask Russ, as you're writing, how much of your stories are based on the memories of your early days, which in some way we share, and how much are influenced by some of the other richer experiences that you have later in life? Thank you.
The stories in this book, I would say, quite heavily influenced. Not necessarily from my own family experience, but from what I have heard and seen about other families. As to your earlier comment, you surprised me, and I don't remember writing any essay about my family. Okay. Afterwards, outside. I don't remember that at all, but thank you for mentioning that you remember.